Hello viewers, welcome to bharatshakti.in. COVID-19 has disrupted our lives. It has also disrupted business activities. Today, I have with me Mr. Parag Naik. He is the co-founder and CEO of Sankhya Labs. Let us interact with him today and find out what is the effect of COVID-19 really on business activities. Mr. Naik, first of all, if you could just tell us about Sankhya Labs product range, which is the business area that you are really into.
Sure, sir. Thanks firstly for having me on the show, on your broadcast. It's a pleasure talking to you as always. So Sankhya is India's first private fabless semiconductor company. We focus on building chipsets, modules, and entire systems for wide range of communication devices, including satellite communications, defense communications. In fact, together with our partner, Cyient, we have actually built India's first indigenous software-defined radio, and we are right now, demoing and going to field trials shortly on that. So we are what's called a deep tech company, as you would distinguish it from typical tech companies, IT tech companies that actually build websites and online stores and online aggregation platforms. So we have customers all over the world, and notable among them is Indian Railways, BEL, ISRO in India. We work with marquee names in the US. A whole bunch of new US operators are our customers, and we also have deployed broadband solutions, wireless broadband solutions in places as far as South Korea, lots of countries in Africa, and right now, as we speak, we are having discussions with customers in Latin America. So we have about 40 patents, international patents on the technology, and we have been in existence for about 13 years. We have 170 employees. We are a classic 21st century knowledge IPR company. While we own semiconductors, we build semiconductors, we don't own any of the manufacturing of either the chipsets or our products. They're all outsourced.
Okay, let's get back to actually the business proper for the day. The government has come out with a huge stimulus package of about 1.7 lakhs. Now, mostly, of course, that is directed at the poorer section, and that's directed at widows, that's directed at daily laborers, like that. But there is something perhaps for the business also. So is there any, I would say, utility that you found as far as this package is concerned?
So far, no, sir. I don't think. Most of it is directed towards, like you rightly said, towards the labor class and also daily wage laborers and stuff like stimulus packages for farmers and people who are below the poverty line. We have not had, though there have been noises in the government and in states and in at the center on providing some kind of stimulus and support for MSMEs. But none so far. The latest I heard from Maharashtra, but it's not applicable to us, is that the state government has written to all landlords below a certain number of people, they don't have to pay rents for the next couple of months. So things like that.
Where are you actually located? Your company is located at?
We are based in Bangalore.
Okay, fine. Let's get on to the next issue, and that's you see the Reserve Bank has also taken a couple of initiatives, both in terms of the repo rates, reverse repo rates, as also the CRR. Now that should actually make liquidity availability much easier. Is that helping you? Have you found it really of some use?
Sir, that's a good move, I think, especially for manufacturing companies and companies that have a lot of working capital needs. So for us there is no direct benefits. One, because we mostly operate on risk capital. Companies such as ours typically have mostly soft resources, people, or rather soft assets, people, IPR. None of the banks are actually able to, even value some of them. So for our company directly, because we don't own any hard assets, I don't think it's of any benefit. But I believe some of the smaller MSMEs which have access to, which need capital and which get capital through debt, there it's going to help them. So right now, typically we've never got any debt from any bank so far in India, because like I said, the only collateral they understand are hard assets like factories and infrastructure and machines. That's the problem. So companies such as ours, which operate on the IT and are design houses and own IPR, we tend to normally get mostly equity, and mostly the capital is all risk capital, not necessarily banks as an institution lend to us. In fact, I've had problems where banks also don't give overdrafts in spite of doing hundreds of crores of business with them for for 8 or 10 years, because they say we don't have we don't have anything to give you. I mean, we don't see any assets from you. That's the problem we have in India.
Okay. Well, you are more or less part of a global supply chain, as I see it. You are global logistics. You're very much a company which is into that.
Right.
Now, because of this disruption brought about by COVID-19, has it been possible for you, in spite of it, to keep your commitments in terms of delivery schedules, etc.?
Some of the things have suffered. We had one big delivery for a US customer that had to be stopped because we have been shut down in Karnataka since March 16th. Practically, we have not gone to office. So anything that's got to do with deliveries, with manufacturing, has suffered. Some commitments have actually on our side we have slipped, and also some of the delays have happened because of the overall global supply chain disruptions. Largely because we have some components coming in from some China and other countries. That's delayed. But overall, the lockdown has increased our productivity to a larger extent. We work harder more than ever. And the design work continues, mostly unabated. Initially, there were a few hiccups until people got used to it, but I think now we find that this is far more productive. Lesser commute, flexible working hours, but then the issue is you should have trust in people and yourselves, that people when you don't micromanage people, these things help you much better than actually going to work. But then we miss the interactions and the thing of going and having those chats in office and all of that. So that's the downside of the.
Okay. Talking about the workforce and that particular area,
right.
You see, there was a huge migration, backward migration back to villages,
right.
etc. Of course, you are mostly a white-collar job kind of a concern, but you perhaps had some sort of a workforce which is from other stations, let's say, not exactly back.
Yes. So, luckily for us, what happened is before the lockdown was announced, we were already work from home about a week before. We took a precaution to say that we deliberated a lot and then decided it's best that we work from home given the flux in the situation. So that gave time for some of our people to go back. So a lot of our workforce, younger workforce especially, which is basically staying in paying guests, which are paying guests and all, they were affected. So they had no choice but to go back. So even before the lockdown was announced, most of our people who from our other states and other cities in Karnataka, went back home.
Well, I just hope they're not feeling insecure. You're going to get them back, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. We have had calls with the people and told them that as a policy we are not going to lay off anybody for the next 6 months at least, and we continue our commitments. In fact, we are doing the opposite. We are actually stepping up our R&D efforts and creating more IPR during this downtime, so that when everybody else is blinking, we go ahead and create value both for us and for our investors. And we are a startup, right? So we are it's largely people are very closely bonded, and we are a closely knit company. So we take care of each other's backs. So it's usually layoff is a very the extremely last resort. We wouldn't do that. But then a lot of other companies don't have that luxury. Luckily, we have a good cash flow. We also got good cash reserves. So when you have cash reserves going into a recession, it's a good feeling actually, because you are well stocked and the others are not. So your competition isn't. So
That's very reassuring. That's very reassuring what you said just now. Let me just ask you a little bit about your business development, since it's quite difficult to move around, meet people. Has your business development endeavors suffered a little bit?
Yes, it has. In fact, we haven't met customers. In fact, most of our business development happens, especially US and other countries. We attend a lot of trade shows. In fact, we cancelled at least 3 trade show attendance. We are supposed to go to MWC Barcelona, then a satellite communication show in the US in early March. And fortunately, we cancelled both of them in the nick of the time. Otherwise, we would have got stuck there. So those are the things that are affecting our business development. It is not affecting our deliveries. So new customers take longer. But what we have done is we've initiated, online teleconferences with most of our customers, and we speak to them on a weekly or a bi-weekly basis, and turns out well. Especially for customers in the US, they find it nice that somebody is actually calling them up and talking to them. And as it is in the US, it is difficult to get social interaction, and when you're locked inside, it's even tougher. That helps.
Okay, one last question. China, in this whole story, China has become a pariah.
Yes.
At least to some nations, most nations,
Yes.
perhaps, which
Yes.
are sensible democracies, etc.
Yes.
Now, there's an advantage that we can accrue from all this. And like you said, you also saw some of your parts from China, etc. Is it possible to take advantage? Is something being done? Is something there in your plans?
Absolutely. I think this is a God-sent opportunity, I think, for India, if we play our cards right. In fact, there's a lot of news going around that Japan is actually pulling out, paying its companies to pull out of China. Now, if we create a good environment, both for manufacturing and for IPR, I don't speak as much for manufacturing because I'm not a manufacturing expert, but the backbone of our employment is basically the MSMEs, right? And if you want if you want Make in India to succeed, I'm a strong believer that it's the MSMEs that who are going to do it. If there's reasonable support from both MOD and the rest of the ministries in propping up incubation orders, initial R&D money. This is the time for us to go and indigenize most of our platforms.
Let's get a little more specific, if you want, if you can, about what help do you expect for, as far as the MSMEs are concerned, from the government in this kind of a situation and hereafter?
So there are at least 3 or 4 I can think of, sir. I just got a news from the US today. One of our employees who used to run a company in the US earlier, he got a call from the US government asking him how many employees he has, right? And that he should not lay off those employees, and that the government is going to pay their salaries for 3 months. That's one extreme. I don't expect the Indian government to come to that, but you never know. That would be a real pleasant surprise. Short of that, there are a whole bunch of measures that they can do. One is basically at least waive off rents for some of us that the Maharashtra government has already taken up, which is a good step. Then the other thing that I have been pushing for is IT cuts. So if you look at it, most of our unlike manufacturing, most of our expenses are people expenses, salaries. Salaries form about 60-70% of our expenses. If the government can give us IT cut, for example, for our employees, I mean that's about 25% of the burn rate from a company stand. We would save about 25% burn rate if we get IT cuts for corporate as well as for employees both. Then there's a lot of money lying with the government, especially USOF in DOT. They've got about 60-70,000 crores. They could use that to build up capacity, build up new products. Then there is Technology Development Board. Again, that gets funded through about by taxing imports. I think they tax about 1% or 0.5% on the import. So they have huge cash reserve. This money should start getting disbursed to worthy companies. And then finally, also more than, see, there's enough money, there's enough capital now all over the world. In fact, the capital will come looking for us. We have to create policies so that the capital flows into India. Right now, because of China's laws, we would have a lot of FDI coming into the country. So you should allow people to believe. I mean, one of the reasons why risk investors or venture capital people, folks, don't invest in hardware businesses or defense businesses in India is they think that you can't really build a business out of India. You can maybe build technology. That's something that we've proven, but they can't build. They can't build a business out of it. So pilot orders, incubation orders will go a long way in helping small companies.
Thank you. It's very nice to see that business is upbeat, that the morale is very high of people in business like you. Thanks a lot for joining us, Mr. Naik.
Thank you, Secretary Chatterjee. Thank you, sir. Pleasure talking to you, as always. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, viewers. Thank you for clicking into our site. And we will be bringing in such interactions more often hereafter. Thank you.